Okay, so what about other components in the platform, like databases, for example? So as I said, there are relational and non-relational databases. Yeah, so NoSQL databases are like mode du jour right now, and more traditional ones are still in use widely, mostly in highly critical business applications and in enterprise setting, but MySQL, of course, is the tool of choice for many web developers, and MariaDB, that is produced by the team of original MySQL developers after it has been acquired by Oracle, is very popular right now too. When we're dealing with .NET and other types of Microsoft world web applications, we normally have MS SQL or MS SQL Express. There is always the room for some Oracle products in the web application world, but that's really rare. Sometimes it's used, but yeah, again, in enterprise setting, most probably. NoSQL databases, some examples can be, just because those two are seen in the wild more often than others. Okay, so MongoDB, of course, is a type of NoSQL database that is using documents, yeah, in JSON format. There is a JSON document for everything, and everything is a component, is a key or value in the JSON document. Okay, and there is a scheme that lets you orient through all that database. And there is Redis. Redis is rarely protected, especially on the local network, but it's not very useful in many cases for penetration testers. It's just a key value, like these hashes, not crypto hashes, but hashes in terms of memory management, right? In variable terms. So there are just keys and values associated with them, stored in memory and then dumped to disk when they are not used for a long time, and then read back to memory for faster access. So Redis is rarely protected, as I said, and there are some exotic ways to exploit that. I most probably will give you just a link in order to process that information on your own. That's really weird. Basically, you can rewrite a file. Yeah, the Redis database. The Redis database stores data in, and you can do that in a manner that it will contain your SSH public key as a result. Okay, so there was an attack like that, and it basically resulted in you having remote access, because SSH SSH authorized keys file is read by SSH daemon quite freely, I would say. So it doesn't matter where exactly your public key is in that file for you to be allowed access to SSH. Okay, so I will just give you a URL to the blog post that describes that vector of attack. Of course, there is potential for exploiting Redis further, but it's not that obvious and not really popular in research and community right now. What about data exchange between different components? Of course, when we are dealing with a middleware or a front end connecting to SQL database or NoSQL database, we most probably will just see that transport protocol throwing queries and returning responses here and there, right? So that will be more or less traditional. What's going on the front end to the client side, though, is that there normally it's just an HTML code, yeah, sent around just in response to HTTP requests that is still in use, and that's more traditional and maybe demands less attention. What I want to emphasize here is that more and more popular is this approach of just building a really heavy AngularJS or jQuery front-end application that is like loaded into the browser, yeah, normally in a compressed form, loaded from the server and then uncompressed to the browser and then run from the disk, mostly from the cache, yeah, every time the application is used. And everything else is this client to web service communication, yeah, either in a SOAP format, in form of XML documents, going here and there, or RESTful API and JSON packets that accompany the API calls. So what you have to get from here, maybe that's already not the platform thing, yeah, for you, but let's focus on that for a while right here. Maybe that's already a web application part that I'm starting to describe, because that's on a principal level, what you need to find on the platform layer is a vulnerability on the existing product, be it a programming language or a framework or a database product. It's still the vulnerability not in the web application itself. Okay, it's something known or something you fuzz or something you have a private exploit for, you know. So it's still like, you know, web server or operating system or something around that. But data exchange is already like the choice of web application. It's not like defined by the web application, but yeah, the application is still like a user for that, but already effectively employs the input it receives in that form. And this is already an entry point into the web application. And entry point into the web application is the attack entry point for us. Okay, so every time we see a JSON packet is sent, we see the values there. Okay, we see the variable names and the values in JSON format. We can start fuzzing first values and then maybe even variable names if we know that they are processed once received by the web application or web service. Okay, so in XML as well, if you see that your input you provide to a web form, for example, is then sent to the web service in an XML form, you can assume that you can start tampering with the input, yeah, in your proxy application like Burp Suite or OSBZAP right away. So yeah, remember that still it's maybe still at the platform level, but already can be used as an avenue for a pure web application attack.